Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Tanks Invest, where we talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video, entertainment purposes only. The investment we're going to talk about today would be Ethereum and Bitcoin. Happy Sunday, everybody, and happy Memorial Day weekend for the US folks that are listening in today. With respect to Bitcoin and Ethereum and the overall cryptocurrencies market, we experienced some sort of like a small sell-off yesterday with respect to Ethereum down close to about 11% yesterday. And with respect to Bitcoin, it was down about 7% yesterday. And on Sunday today, I had a pretty productive day overall today. Did a lot of errands. I spent some time with the family, did some grocery shopping, and etc. And as I got home around like the 4:45, I checked on my Coinbase account. I checked on the technical analysis. It seems like we're trending more of a rebound today, more of a green day, but not like a major green day, but kind of like a pseudo kind of hovering day that we've been trending so far. But overall, it's a good sign with respect to how we're trending. So I'm going to go over a technical analysis to see where do we see the prices for Bitcoin and Ethereum going all forward from here, right? Is this really the resistance level that we are forming? How should we think about with respect to further dollar cost averaging at certain resistance level that we should be looking out for? And my price target for the respective prices for Bitcoin and Ethereum at the end year of 2021 as well. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Okay, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum real quick. So looking at this on a 5-day perspective, just to recap on what happened this week, right? With respect to the beginning of the week on May 27th, which was like earlier in this week on Thursday, we were basically hovering around like the $2,750 level, the $2,800 level that we were kind of consolidating and hovering for quite some time now, right? And subsequent to that, because of the whole weekend sell-off and also with respect to the Friday affectation ahead of the Memorial weekend, we had some selling pressure across the board, right? We subsequently boiled up to the level of breaking that resistance level. You could see that with respect to this yellow line that I drew here, we were trending around the $2,750 level. Subsequent to that, we bounced down all the way, testing around like the $2,450 level, which you could see on the secondary yellow resistance line right here. And we're kind of hovering from there, right? And you could see that we hovered there for about 2 days, starting on May 28th and then May 29th. And as we saw from May 29th, May 29th was basically yesterday, we saw more of a sell-off, right? And this happened yesterday with respect to, Ethereum was down about 11% yesterday. And at one point around, like you could see that right here, right? Around the late at night, about 8:50, in East Coast, in New York City, we sold down all the way down to $2,183 level, which again, right, the $2,100 level, the $2,000 level is a very, very strong psychological resistance level that we've been forming and testing multiple times because of the fact that's, again, right, a psychological mental resistance level, and also with respect to historical consolidation areas that we've been forming before that big pump all the way to the 4,000, right? But before that, we consolidated for like multiple weeks and months, right, before that pump up. So that forms a lot of good market appetites across public investors and also corporate investors at those areas, right? And which you could see with respect to my technical analysis that I did a couple of days ago, you could see that we immediately bounced back up, right? You could see that we went up all the way back to the $2,450 level, which is basically where we came from, on the early of the day, right? So look at the daily perspective now. Let's see what's going on, right? All right, let's shift that in so we could see that more clearly. All right, so right now we're trending according to plan at the $2,450 level. Again, right, that's a very strong psychological resistance level that we've been forming multiple times now. You could see that, right? We have tested this once right here, which we have basically tested and confirmed based on the sell-off yesterday to bounce back up to this level. So we're waiting on it right now. We also had this secondarily on May 25th. Ever since that big crash that we had, subsequently bounced back up, and that was the level that we basically come back down to retest, because it was basically surged from the 1750 all the way to $2,800 level, which was a $1,000 swing. That immediately, because of the fact, again, right, we had a relatively weak or non-substantive consolidation level that was only formed once around the May 20th and May 21st level. But with respect to historically, you could see that we never really had any substantial consolidation activities around there, right? Which subsequently drove that sell-off, and that sell-off was very logical, which I pretty much foreseen, as my prediction was 60% that we're going to sell off from there, which subsequently, as we see, we did, right? And then go down to the 2,450, and then subsequently went down all the way because of the Friday and the weekend holiday affectation across public investors. And now we're kind of hovering around these levels, right? So what I see going forward is that, knowing the fact that we have tested the $2,450 level for quite some time now, and we have tested this, like, again, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So again, right, the Ethereum base, the floor is really at the $2,450 level, no matter how much you stretch anymore, right? You could see that ever since that drop off, we immediately bounce back up to recorrect itself. You could see that the stretch of the line has been deviated so much from the historical trends, right? You could look at that historically. It was never really this wide, right? So this was basically an outlier that we're forming with respect to the standard deviation that we've been trending so far, which is subsequently driving this more of a reactive type of momentum trade that we're forming at the moment. And also on top of that, the RSI is relatively low right now. You could see that we are basically submerged in the water. We are kind of peaking because today's a green day, so that makes sense. However, with respect to like what levels should we be looking out for if you want a dollar cost average, I think, again, right, with respect to my repeating technical analysis resistance level, I think the $2,450 level is a great level to buy in. Again, this is a consolidation level that people have been buying for for like the whole year now, before this whole pump up to the $4,000 level, right? So again, we've tested this level 11 times historically, right? And in the near term, I think, I don't foresee us to be going all the way down up to the $2,800 level again in the near term. I knowing the fact that, we are kind of just hovering right now, and we've been kind of hovering for quite some time now without any like positive immediate affectation that we're expecting going forward. But who knows? But if we do, the next level again, right, will be hovering all the way from the 2,450 all the way to $2,800 level, right? But if we hear more, bad news or some sort of like more selling pressure, which I don't foresee that to be happening, knowing the fact that we've kind of been, abusing the logics in the trends already, that for us to sell down even more, that would just be, not the most logical in terms of the how it should be naturally occurring going forward, based on just simple supply and demand dynamics and human psychology. Again, right, people want to sustain a profit. They don't want to just sell on a loss, right? And again, a lot of people bought at the tops around here, which is the reason you see a lot of green candles here, right? I know a ton of people bought around like the $2,800 level, thinking that was the dip, right? Without looking at the historical trends. So I bet there are a lot of people, I would say 75% of the folks that are currently holding right now, especially on the retail side, are holding the bag at the moment. So for them to sell down even more, it just makes no sense at all, logically speaking, right? And also, there is no negative affectation that hasn't already been baked in, right, with respect to the Chinese news on like, limiting the usage and utilizations for Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies as a whole. That's just more of like a negative media affectation that, the news or the publications that try to manipulate or influence people to think a certain way, right? But if you think logically and you look at the charts based on how people are really looking at the charts, and how they really putting the money where the mouth is, it tells you a complete different story, right? Which is, you have to call that BS sometimes, right? You cannot just completely buy into what media tells you without like reflecting on what type of news this is and what are the incentives, right? And again, news are typically old news, like we call that news, right? But a lot of media affectations are basically stories that are percolating to influence people for a more of a reactionary type of trade, because they know how investors are going to basically execute the trades based on emotions, not really based on logics, right? So the news that we get are typically really old news that probably have happened already for a week in already. So yeah, they call that news, right? Like breaking news or whatever. I'm not, especially on financial news, those are most of the time like fabricated, or some sort of like percolation that they want to influence public investors, so they could subsequently get manipulate the market in a way that they get down to a certain level that they ideally want to buy in with their cash balance that they're sitting on the side. And when that happens with this negative media affectation, they see public investors sell, will subsequently give them the opportunity to buy a lower price point and subsequently ride that back up, right? So the more negative news that you hear, the more manipulations that you hear, it means that you need to step up even more. The lower the price of any commodities or any equity goes down, means that the risk profile is actually decreasing, not the other way around. You have to think about it that way. I know it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Oh, the stock is flying off the cliff, like why should I buy? It's like, but just know that that's a better opportunity than buying at the top, right? If you buy on the top, that means you are incurring a significantly higher risk by percentage wise, right? Of for the valuation to be actualized in a true financials analysis perspective, right? And stocks are pretty much like a popularity contest that Wall Street cultivates, right? Most of the time, the value or the price of a stock or a commodity is not really truly a good representation of what's the true value of the equity or the commodity price point that you buy in. So that's something you have to be mindful of, right? So don't always think logically. Again, I kept saying, from my previous video, like think using financial analysis, use analytics, use evidentiary support, understand the macroeconomical dynamics, understand the media affectation, what their incentives are into influencing people, and then verify that and testify that in your head, and try to calculate like the risk and reward ratio perspective, and then execute on your trade. You'll be a deadly trader and an investor. So hopefully you find that helpful. And again, I felt like I kind of went off tangent a little bit. But the level right now at $2,450 level is a great level to buy in. Again, right? That's the level of resistance that we've tested 12 times. And the next level, if we go down, would be like the level that we got down to yesterday, right? The $2,100 level that we tested, or the $2,000 level, right? But if we hear more like negative news, like CNBC keep mentioning, right? Oh, Bitcoin's going to crash to like the 20K. If that happens and people, get even more freaked out, we might even go down to the 1750. And I bet you I will load up from that level. I'll probably buy 10 Ethereum, like I said, right? And I'm actually trying to maybe liquidate some of my equity holdings in other stocks, into hedging for this opportunity that's coming, because I would love for that to happen, with that low risk profile for you to get there. And, knowing the fact that if we get there, we will basically completely destroy the logics of the macro supply and demand dynamics. That's just a perfect opportune time for you and I, us investors, to buy in when everybody are like freaking out, running up for the hill, like hoping that God will save them. So hopefully you find that helpful, and try to think logically in that perspective. All right, so just to recap on all the numbers that we just talked about again, with respect to Ethereum, I think the current price level, $2,450 level, which I've been repeating myself so many times now, that's a fair psychological resistance level that we've been forming 11 times so far. But if we have more of a sell-off, and I hope that some people actually bought in on the dip yesterday, at $2,100 level, I think that's a very attractive level, which I actually bought too, again, right? And subsequently, been holding ever since. And I think that's a great level for you to throw a dollar cost average. I have not been selling any of my Ethereum so far. I'm going to keep holding it for the next years ahead, right? Because I do believe in the long-term value proposition and the utilization of this crypto assets going forward, right? And if we even get down to like the 1750, like CNBC keep pushing us, right? Keep try to influence us to do so, without any biasness, I would love to be buying this up right there at this level or below that 1750, which again, that's pretty much the bottom already, the 1750, with that Black Swan event dip that we saw from the last Saturday. And that was the steepest, right? And I think that's really truly the floor at the bottom. So 1750 would be amazing if we could get there. And with respect to like 12-month price target, I did a relatively comprehensive analysis in my financial model, projecting if, basically every corporations in the US and globally speaking decide to allocate 1% of their assets, of their balance sheets, into Ethereum or in Bitcoin, respectively, Ethereum will hit about $25,000 per Ethereum from there. And I'm saying 12 months price target about 5,000 because I do foresee it's going to take some time for obviously the adoptions and the utilization as the financial system further evolve over time, right? So this doesn't just like blow up overnight in a year, right? Good things takes time. With respect to this strong fundamental assets, as the economy grows, as we obviously recover from the COVID situation, as the financial system further evolve over time with a lot of fintech solutions, I think in a 12 months horizon for us to hit that 5,000, basically forecasting 20% of corporations decide to hold at least 1%, we'll get to about the $5,000 level, which is my logic behind the financial analysis that I did. And if we get there, 104% upside, 2 times your money, and again, that's my conservative case. If we even have a faster adoption, globally speaking, $10,000 by year end 2021 would not be surprising to me. But again, I'm being very, very conservative, and I'm being I try to be thoughtful in my analysis, in terms of like what's logical, right? And again, my base case is really just 20% of corporations. If you want to max out to like 50%, that number is double basically, right? To basically $10,000 per coin. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my technical analysis again, on both Ethereum and Bitcoin. And also, I hope you guys all have a great weekend so far with respect to, the Memorial Day weekend that we still have for tomorrow. I know most people are off tomorrow on Monday, but I'm still going to be working. My job doesn't really, I don't really have days off because, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an investor on the side. So I'm going to still be having some meetings throughout the day tomorrow, but I'm going to take it like relatively chill. But hopefully you guys enjoy this, and gain some insights, and don't feel so tense and so worried, and really spend some time with your family, with your loved ones, during this weekend, and just take it easy. And I hope that with respect to the logics and the analysis that I give you, it gives you like a better peace of mind, right? So you don't have to execute trades based on emotions or with lack of information, right? Sometimes like lack of information or misinformation is gonna make a bad investment most of the time, right? And I hope that by me bringing you this like clarity, by you bringing this transparency and no fluff and no hype and no biasness, this will give you a good outcome in terms of your investment execution going forward. So please hit the like button, subscribe button, also that bell notification, and please watch out for the next video.